Hello, I'm Bassam Elaiyan, and I'm hoping to get my bachelor's degree in construction engineering management. So this summer I worked for Larson Danielson Construction Company, very well-known contractor in Northwest Indiana. I'll be getting into that more. This is their logo. So what is Larson Danielson Construction? Larson Danielson is a construction company consisting of subcontractors and contractors. So they do both. They work on big projects and they can be a subcontractor to little projects. So they mainly work in medical projects. I would say they built a huge thing in LaPorte, which was really cool to see as I got there because they were finishing it up. Educational projects, where I was located in the summer. Commercial projects. I didn't really see too much of that this summer, but I guarantee there's a lot going on. Educational projects, we're working at a Notre Dame dorm, building it up, which is really cool. I wish I was part of that, but I live too far. Then they have municipal construction projects, and they're voted best commercial contractor in Northwest Indiana. This is huge because Northwest Indiana, if you're not from Indiana, is a pretty big area. It's expanding, requires a lot of work to be going in because it's just currently growing by the day. So these are a couple awards. You can see they have commercial projects, they have educational projects, and I was part of the educational one. It's like another a field school. And so the location, I was at in Crown Point High School. If you don't know where that is, it's in Northwest Indiana, like I said. They're known for football, basketball, all different sports. It's a very big school, and the population of the school is about 2,800 kids, which is pretty big for me because I came from like a school rivalry from that school in my hometown. So yeah, it was an existing school. It was like pretty new, but for some reason they want to do renovations. They added new classrooms. They added a huge turf field and weight room, which I was going to talk about that because that's my favorite part. They did a parking lot, soccer field, even though they had a soccer field, but anyway, they build new stuff on top of their old stuff, which is weird to see, but it's good for them because it's very high grade. So in this first picture over here, you can see this huge area, and you may not know what it is. So that's the foundation for the turf field. So we had our subcontractor McAllister come in and set that in. And usually it doesn't look that big, but if you think about it, it's a high school vicinity weight room. So you wouldn't think it might be a strip, but like this is like a college vicinity if you think about it, because it's a huge field, 25 yards by 50 yards almost. So it was huge because I came from a high school from Valpo, and we have a small strip. It was maybe 5 by 15 yards, but this is just a whole nother level. It's like a whole field inside the building, which is really cool to see how McAllister came in leveled and everything set up from Springfield. So anyway, this is the new weight room. Over here you see these new weights, they're Olympic graded weights, and I loved this part of the section because when my new building in Valpo got these new weights, I wish I saw like the put in, because they filled up a pool and put concrete in there. But they put new weights, Olympic weights, and I saw how they put the rubber on the floor and everything came in with tools, and that was probably my favorite part because I love this whole setup. So I worked in the office. I worked on Bluebeam. It was a calculation of manpower per unit in each phase. It's basically the working hours that are allowed for certain projects of local area. So it's like, tear down a wall. It would be like some amount of wall feet times the man hours, or divided by the man hours to calculate this. So I basically was in Bluebeam, created columns and all this different stuff to make sure the hours aligned. And our president, Brian Larson, sent me to this, and he's a very smart guy, very knowledgeable. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was able to get back to me when I asked a question. He knew everything going on in each different projects, and there was multiple, like over 20 projects going on, and he knew every single thing, and he was able to handle me and my questions and everything going on. So basically manpower allowed to demo walls, suspended ceiling tiles, and this is huge for the cost code. So cost code is what you use to keep track of what's going on, to make sure there's certain limits to the schedule, because if you go over those man hours, something's wrong because you shouldn't be taking that long on it. So it's huge for me to make sure I calculated everything right, to make sure the time was going accordingly to schedule, so nothing was set back and delays weren't happening. So there was a cost code sheet. So by the red arrow you can see the cost code. This is huge because when you do hours for the workers, which I did, and allocate them to their hours, you have to put the cost code, because certain things can be counted out and certain things can be counted in, like outside work, inside work. And it's huge because you need to put these cost code to make sure it ticks off the certain time from the day. So, for example, the president, Brian Larson, can know what happened that day and what happened, like if it was good or bad, if everything's going on track, so they can communicate to other contractors and subcontractors to make sure everything's going on right. So this is the budget. As you can tell right here, this pretty little thing. But usually in my sheet, it was a budget, but also it was mainly just giving us a wall square feet area just to know what's going on, so you can calculate it easily, find out the total number, so you can contact back to your president. So I worked in the field majority of my summer. I probably worked in the office for a week or two, but throughout the project, they gave me a Microsoft Pro computer, which was very top tier. This just shows how the company is so well spoken for themselves because they gave you a good device to make sure good work is processed, even though I'm an intern. So I continue to work on that manpower sheet known as takeoff. I'd walk through site, make sure everything demo's going to plan. Again, I mark off the cost code, mark off what's done in the day, so they can get a schedule for what's going on next week and in the next couple days. I would email subcontractors. This was the biggest part. I'll be talking about this later in my presentation. I think this was the most important part to me. I think I learned way too much from this, and it was the best thing. I collected inventory of door frames, and this is huge for the emailing because I would have to know what's in, what's not in, what I need to email the subcontractor about Lazaro and let them know, hey, we need these doors by this certain deadline, and I'd have to bring up evidence. So, and last, I did daily reports with JSAs. So this is daily progress, JSAs. Daily progress let me know to take a picture at the end of the day and let Brian Larson know, or whoever's looking over the website, we use WorkMax, and it would say what happened through the day, what equipment's needed, what safety is needed to be taken. So, and this is just professional email guidelines, and I'll be explaining that later. So equipment we used was a Lowell. This was my favorite equipment. It goes up and down. It's like a buggy. It goes very fast, like a vehicle, but it can carry so much. It's very complex, versatile. It can carry trash. That's what we mainly used it for, the third floor all the way to the bottom floor, moving into the garbage sites. And they use this little excavator type of thing to go up and down, and it was really cool to see that. Another equipment is a skid steer. So basically this is used in this picture. It's outside to level ground, which you can do as a dirt. You can also add some vacuum to clean out the outside excess. So, but we use this inside the building. We took off that tool where the red arrow is pointed to add like a nail screw that hits the wall and penetrates and pops it. So basically you could do a whole classroom in like 20 minutes. If it was done safely, it hits the corner of the wall and knocks down the remaining wall around it. So this was really cool to see. This is an excavator that was used by Gall, another subcontractor or contractor on their own. They were working on the fields, majority soccer field and the softball field, so they basically got this excavator, and that huge thing is used to carry dirt out of the way and move it out of the way. But mainly, these tracks leveled out the ground to make sure everything was perfectly round, because if you mess up the dimension, like it's not leveled by the surveyor, it's going to cause bumps in the asphalt and the turf, so this creates flooding to happen if it's not well leveled. So basically work being done in this first image, funny story, these foundations, first it was one of the first days I came with the inspector. He was talking to me about how safety is important, and these were not leveled properly. They were like staggered, and this caused a huge issue because it could have fallen and knocked the top of the foundation down. So we talked to the foreman supervisor and made sure everything was going right with other subcontractors to fix it immediately. So that was a funny story from there. It shows how much safety is taken into account. This was a courtyard. It was a huge courtyard, grassland. Like usually in high schools they have a courtyard. They demoed it all, added new classrooms, which was really cool to see. You could see the insulation. Right before I left, they were going to start putting on the walls, and they knocked down the walls, put down this that layers, which was really cool to see. And this is a classroom. It was an old classroom that you could tell. Basically, it's just a normal picture, but it just shows how much work goes into it. They use a scissor lift to get up and down, take out the plumbing, insulation, take out the floors, acoustic ceilings. The acoustic ceiling is what's used in normal classes. Even if you look up right now, probably, you're in a classroom, it's acoustic ceiling. Above it is where all the plumbing is, all the pipes, all the insulation, and all that good stuff. So, most valuable lesson is sending emails to other subcontractors and contractors. This is huge because it put trust between me and my company to hold each other accountable. I had to make sure I sent the most professional email, not include stuff that isn't important, which is huge to know, because it could mess up a whole project if you think about it. If you include something that's not detrimental, and it could cause a fight between the contractors. So made sure I was on top of the game, made sure I was referred back to the schedule, making sure the delays were not set. And because if I had to email Lazaro, for example, and say I need my door framed by this certain period, and they don't send it in, it causes a huge delay. For example, masons set down the foundation of the wall. We would have to dimple the walls and then put a new wall in. So, new door framing, I mean, sorry. So, it allowed new connections with subcontractors, and I think this made me a very professional person just by sending emails, and it really helped me a lot. So, thank you for listening. This is the school I worked at, Crown Point High School. Yeah.